you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the New England Patriots. Wow. Whoa, what a game. That may have been a preview of the AFC Championship game. Yikes. You know how, and they talked about this on the telecast, but you know how we get these games that are built up, you know, as these huge matchups. And again, we're in week 6. I mean, how big can a week 6 matchup actually be anyway, right? So, you know how we get these big matchups that are built as, you know, a potential AFC championship matchup or an NFC championship matchup. And generally, these games don't live up to the hype. Well, this, and you could argue that the one we saw on Thursday night between the Rams and the Vikings, that lived up to the hype of Vikings-Rams as well. This one, though, this one exceeded what we saw on Thursday Night Football a couple of weeks ago. This game was outstanding. And 43-40. And for those of you who didn't believe in Patrick Mahomes before, he grew up before our very eyes tonight. He's still so young. And if you're a Chiefs fan out there, there are no moral victories. We've said this a number of times. However, you've got to feel so much better about the prospects of your team being able to beat the likes of the Patriots, the Steelers, the Rams, whomever. Because you knew in this game, at no point did you feel like you didn't have a shot until Brady completed that pass to Gronk. And you knew you couldn't stop the clock, and you knew they were in chip shot field goal range. At no point did you feel like we lost this game. When Brady and company moved it down the field and they ended up having to settle for a field goal to make it 7 at 40-33, I said to myself, all right, Mahomes, what you got? I want to see how legit you are. We saw it once before. Remember, Monday Night Football on the road, down double digits in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdown drives to lead his team back to a victory, including a conversion on 2nd and 30 that he ended up getting in the next 2 plays. We saw Mahomes' magic once already. But I wanted to see, this isn't Denver, okay? This isn't Denver. This is the New England Patriots. All right? These are the 5-time Super Bowl champion, the B&B winning factory. It's Sunday Night Football. It's Foxborough. Everybody's watching. The stage was a little too big for Mahomes in the first half. Now, you're down 7, 3 minutes and 15 seconds left. What you got for me, homie? What you got? He said, I got a 75-yard touchdown strike to Tyreek the Freak. And let me say this is a side note, and I don't want to go too far on this, but I need to say this now before I forget. Some fans need their ass beat, okay? See, this is that bullshit that because you pay your admission and you get a ticket, you think you are able to do whatever the hell, and then they want to sue when somebody want to jump in the stands and beat their ass. Did you see when Tyreek Hill scored the touchdown? Did you see the fan pour his Bud Light in his face? Did you see that? Some fans need their ass beat. I don't give a shit how drunk you are. I don't give a shit what you think this is. And then if he was to jump into the crowd and then if he was then to beat his ass, I'm going to try to keep this as clean as possible, then he would have been at fault. And you saw Samuel Watkins had to come over there and tell him, hey, don't worry about it, man. Come on. We about to tie this thing up. Ain't no need for you to get a personal foul penalty or do something stupid and get fined and regret it. Come on. But some fans need their ass beat. And if he would have proceeded to jump in the stands and beat that man's ass, I wouldn't have wanted to hear nothing from the fan. I wouldn't have wanted to hear nothing from the league because that's some bullshit. But anyway, back to my original point. Patrick Mahomes grew up tonight. Tough first half. Missed some throws he's made in his sleep throughout the first 5 weeks of the season. Missed some throws that he's made in his sleep. But the man woke the hell up in the second half and matched wits with Brady. I mean, you could argue step for step, stride for stride. He was right there with Tom Brady, and you could argue that he outdueled Brady at times in this game in the second half. But Tom Brady is Tom Brady. The Patriots are the Patriots, and you had to know that they were going to win this game. As good of an effort as it was, and as valiant of an effort as it was by the Chiefs, you knew Tom Brady and company were going to make a statement tonight that if you want to go to the Super Bowl, the road to the Super Bowl still comes through Foxborough in the AFC. That goes for the Ravens, that goes for the Chargers, that goes for the Chiefs, or any other team that thinks that they're bad enough to jump up and test the Patriots. The road to the Super Bowl still comes through Foxborough. And when it's all said and done, what the Chiefs have done this year to start off the season 5-0, now 5-1, that shit is cute. It's nice. But when it's all said and done, the Patriots are going to end up 12-4, 13-3. They're going to end up with the number 1 seed in the AFC because of the virtue of this head-to-head tie. We've seen this shit before. They've done it to Pittsburgh how many times now? Okay, we've seen this before. Virtue of this head-to-head win, they're going to win the tiebreaker. They're going to get the number 1 seed, and the Chiefs are going to find themselves back in Foxborough at some point. Now, it's up to the Chiefs to decide if that's in the AFC Championship or if that's in the divisional round. Their choice. You win enough games, you don't have to see these bastards until the AFC Championship game. You mess around, go through a little rut like you did last year, and you'll see these guys in the divisional round. You'll never make it to the AFC Championship game. Hell, you might run into a team like Baltimore that you want no parts of before you get to them, and you don't even make it to them. So, it's up to the Chiefs to decide how they want this thing to play out. But this loss will come back to bite them in terms of seeding, because you'd love it if you're the Chiefs. You'd love it to say, hey, we're going to get the number 1 seed, and we're going to make these bastards come to Arrowhead and see if they can't do that to us again, but this time in our building, where we feel like we have an advantage. We'll see what happens, but I've seen this movie enough to know how this story ends. So, what a game, though. And, well, look, we know the Chiefs don't play a ton of defense, and I'm not going to allow Chris Collinsworth to warp my way of thinking. I'm not going to allow him to contaminate my brain by telling me that when Justin Houston is healthy and when Eric Berry is healthy, that this Chiefs defense is all of a sudden going to be better. I don't believe it, okay? They aren't good on defense, period. For number one, they can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. I was so upset at Jacksonville last week. And if you listen to the podcast, and for those of you who haven't checked it out, podcast is up. It's been up. Check it out. Louie T Network podcast. Latest episode has been up for a couple of days. Check it out. I talked about it on the podcast, how Jacksonville had a golden opportunity to run the football into the end zone and make that a different ball game. And Jacksonville was running the football down the Chiefs' throat, and for some inexplicable reason, they stopped. Well, the Patriots didn't stop tonight. And that's the thing I love about the Patriots. There's a lot of things that irk me about the Patriots. But their game plans offensively never cease to amaze me. They know the weakness of the other team. They're going to take full advantage of the weakness of the other team. They do it week in, week out. And I love their ability to morph into whatever they need to be for that given week to win. All right? They're a chameleon. They're able to blend into whatever situation they're put in. So if you're telling me that you are the 31st ranked rush defense, well, the Patriots are going to run the football 40 times tonight. You tell me you're the 31st ranked pass defense, well, Tom Brady's going to throw it 50 times tonight. You tell me you can't stop either the run or the pass, well, you're going to get a healthy dose of both. Whatever one they feel like doing the most and the one that they're having the most success with, that's the one you're going to see tonight. But the Chiefs can't stop the run. So what did the Patriots do? Heavy dose of the run game. Sony Michel, PlayStation. Over 100 yards, 2 rushing touches. Then at the end of the game, they gave it to James White. Whoever was in was getting them some tonight. for the New England Patriots. And you got to love what the Patriots are able to do from an offensive standpoint. Now, defensively, the Patriots, they aren't good, and they usually aren't good. The difference, though, I will say, in past years, the Patriots have been a bend but don't break defense. They'll allow you, and then Bill Belichick has never given two shits about yardage. The Patriots could be the 24th ranked defense by way of yardage, which I think that is the worst way to rank defenses in the league, by yards given up. That is the worst stat that you could rank defenses by, okay? It is the worst, absolute worst stat to give you the real indicator of where a defense lies in this league. But I regress. The Patriots could care less. Over the tenure and life of Bill Belichick being the New England Patriots coach, he could care less about you racking up and compiling 503 yards of total offense. If it only amounts to 22 points, sure, he doesn't care. It's when it turns into 40 like it did tonight, and he's lucky that it wasn't 50. Think about the first half and all of the throws Mahomes missed, all of the opportunities squandered by the Chiefs. Think about that for a second. If they hit one or two of those plays and those are touchdowns instead of Harrison Butker field goals, this is a totally different game. So think about that for a second. I think they settled their first 4 scoring possessions in this game were all field goals. And then Mahomes throws a dumb pick, and I told you, and there are more of these to come, because he's a gunslinger. He doesn't know anything other than trying to make plays. No play is ever over with Patrick Mahomes. That's a gift, and it's a curse. You saw the gift part of it, and you've seen it throughout the season. The touchdown versus San Francisco, back of the end zone to Chris Conley. That's the gift. You've seen that. There's also the curse. You saw it tonight, right before halftime. You're at least coming away with a field goal in a game that, oh, hell, what'd you lose by? A field goal. Those types of plays come back to haunt you. But that's who Patrick Mahomes is. You can't neuter this guy. You can't take away what makes him so dynamic and so special. You try to rein that in. You try to alleviate that from his game, and all of a sudden, he's not the same guy. But there are times where he's got to understand down and distance and situational football. You're going into the halftime break. The guy you're trying to throw the football to, Travis Kelce, is triple covered. There are 3 Patriot defenders here. I know you have a strong arm, and this is the problem with a lot of strong arm quarterbacks. They think they can get footballs into the tightest of tight windows, and it doesn't matter what defender or how many are there. They think they can get it in there. You tried to zing it in there. It was deflected, battered around, and picked off, and that was a scoring opportunity that went by the wayside before the half. And again, who's to say whether they would have gotten a touchdown on the next play or if you would have had to settle for a field goal, but at least you would have gotten something. Nonetheless, the Patriots have always prided themselves on buckling down in the red zone, and give them credit. Early in this football game, that's exactly what they did. They buckled down in the red zone, and they forced the Chiefs, no matter how it appeared, because the Chiefs had opportunities and they just simply missed on some of them. No matter how it appears, they did their job of keeping the Chiefs' high-octane offense out of the end zone. A Chiefs team that in 2 separate games this season has scored over 30 points before the half. They kept them out of the end zone and forced them to settle for field goals in the first half of this game. Now, it was a totally different story in the second half. The Patriots couldn't keep these guys out of the end zone, but that's what happens when you have an explosive offense that you know at some point, if you keep giving them opportunities, they're going to start clicking and they're going to start getting the football into the end zone. Kareem Hunt always seems to kill this Patriots football team. He did it in his first ever career NFL game. He did it again tonight. He almost had 200 total yards of offense in this game, right around 80 or so rushing, another buck and some change receiving. I think he went over like 108 or 110, something like that, receiving. So he was nearing the 200 total yard mark in this game. Tyreek Hill, what more can I say? Hey, Jalen Ramsey, you sure he's just a kick returner? You sure he's not a receiver? Because I've been talking about Tyreek Hill's maturation as a wide receiver for the last year and a half. You sure he's not a receiver? I think the Patriots would beg to differ, but that's nor here nor there. That guy was special tonight, and he's special just about every single week. And if you're going to have any chance of beating the Chiefs, you've got to slow somebody down. And their guy in tonight's game was Travis Kelce. That's the guy that they said they were going to slow down. They had Hill bottled up for the most part, in the better part of 2.5 quarters or so. But by the midpoint, late third quarter, he started to erupt. And by the fourth quarter, he was full-blown tearing shit up. And so he ended up the game with 7 grabs for $1 and some change and 3 scores. So when you get Hunt going, you get Hill going, and all they were missing was Kelce. And if he would have been able to connect with Kelce on 1 or 2 plays earlier in the game, this may be a different outcome. But the Chiefs are so dynamic and explosive that even – look, it was funny because in the first half when it seemed like the Patriots are going to run away with this game, I started to say to myself, here we go. Just like I expected, the Patriots are going to whoop their ass tonight. And when I say whoop their ass, I'm using this as a very vague term. I didn't think they were going to beat them by 20. I thought this was going to be a comfortable 2-score win for the Patriots, like something like 38-24, something like along those lines. You know what I mean? 38-27, something like that. They're like, yeah, they're going to beat these guys comfortably, and we can put this Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs thing to rest. And in the second half, they would have none of it. The Chiefs battled back. Every single time the Patriots tried to put that dagger in their heart, the Chiefs made plays, and even on the defensive side, forcing some field goals and forcing a fumble. Brady tried to channel his inner Patrick Mahomes. I don't know who the hell told Tom Brady that you can scramble around and try to extend the play like Patrick Mahomes, but I'm glad that he fumbled so he doesn't do that shit again, okay? You're 41. Act your age. Act like it, okay? Don't be running around here acting like you can extend plays and then find somebody down the field like Patrick Mahomes. That's a young man over there. It's a young man's game. Scrambling around outside of the pocket is no country for old men. Keep your ass in the pocket, or if you're going to do what you did by the end zone, hurry up and get your ass in the end zone before you get killed. All right? So Brady had to learn the hard way. Scrambling around and extending plays is no country for old men. Either you make a decision with the football, you're going to run, you're going to throw it, or you get your ass out of dodge, or you get your ass down, okay? Don't do that shit again. So even the Chiefs defense stepped up and made a couple of plays. Special teams chipped in with a 97-yard return. This game had every element to it. Because let's face it, with the new kickoff return rules, the teams getting it at the 25, and we know that's been around for the last 2 or 3 years now, the no running start. How many of these kickoff returns for touchdowns or big returns do we see anymore? Like, the kickoff is damn near dead. Dead, I tell you. And to see the Chiefs bust one off for 97, man, this game had just about everything you could imagine. But when it's all said and done, I told all of you just a mere 2 weeks ago that the game is effed up because you can't let Brady have a guy like Gordon. And Gordon is still just barely scraping the surface. He's just scratching it, all right? He still doesn't know what the hell he's doing in the Patriots uniform yet. Wait till he figures some shit out, all right? Edelman is just working his way back. He's still not where he's going to be 4 weeks from now, right? Chris Hogan hasn't really been utilized this year, and you saw when they needed him, he can still step up and provide for them. Gronk was a no-show and a non-factor for the vast majority of this game, but when it was time to make plays, guess who showed up? The caveman showed up. So I didn't even mention the run game. I didn't even mention James White. I didn't even mention Sony Michel PlayStation. I didn't even mention what they're doing on the ground now. It's a different Patriots offense than what you saw week 3 on Sunday Night Football versus the Lions when they had nothing but Cordero Patterson and Chris Hogan at receiver. The game has changed. They can score 43 for real. Like, for real. Earlier in the season, they couldn't score 43 without the help and the assistance of the other team. Now they don't need your help. You don't have to turn it over for them to score 43 points. They can do that off the own volition of their offense. So it's really scary what these guys are capable of. And Brady is, man, it's amazing what you can do when you have one of those guys. One of those guys, right? Like, for those of you who aren't fans of the two teams who played tonight or aren't a fan of the Rams, maybe you could throw the Eagles in there with Wentz or the Roethlisbergers of the world or, you know, Drew Brees or one of those quarterbacks. If you're not a fan of one of the elites, the Aaron Rodgers or one of those guys, then you have to look at games like tonight and you have to admire what you saw, but you also in the back of your mind have to say to yourself, why can't my team look like that? Why doesn't my team look like that? Well, I know why my team doesn't look like that. Because my quarterback's name is Alex Smith. I'm fully aware of why my team doesn't look like that. And you're probably saying the same thing. Well, my team doesn't look like that because my quarterback's name is fill in the blank. I get it. I understand. It's amazing, though. It's 3rd and 2. And Tom Brady just calmly, you know, most teams in the league, or 3rd and 1, you know, calmly, most teams in the league are just looking to move the chains, pick up that first down, and now they're looking to bleed clock and try to get into field goal range for the game-winning score. No, not Tom Brady. He wants to calmly step up and hit Chris Hogan on 3rd and 1 or 2. Nope. Late in the game, Tom Brady's not looking for an underneath route to move the sticks. He's just going to hit Gronk in stride to put this game on ice and get into field goal range. That throw to Chris Hogan on 3rd and what was it, 1 or 2? Come on. You know what it reminded me of? A couple of years ago, the Redskins, week 1, there was so much hype surrounding the Redskins after they had won the division in 2015. And the first game of the season was at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was a Monday night game. We were all hyped for it. We were excited. We didn't love our chances, but we thought we had a shot. And Ben Roethlisberger on a 4th and 1, I'll never forget this. He goes for the gusto. One-on-one coverage, Antonio Brown versus Bashad Breeland. And a shallow dragger was open. He could have hit Juju Smith-Schuster, I believe, was wide open on a little drag route. Easy completion. It might have been like Eli Rogers or somebody. I don't even know if Juju Smith-Schuster was there yet. He wasn't because that was 3 years ago. It was Eli Rogers wide open on a drag route. Would have been an easy first down for about a gain of 7. Nope, Ben turned that down and went for the jugular. 40 yards down the field on the money on 4th and 1. Touchdown. Broke our damn backs. Set the tone for the game. That's what Brady did on 3rd and 1 tonight. Could have easily dumped it down to somebody else and picked up the first down. Nope, Brady wanted the jugular. Hits Chris Hogan 35 yards down the field, 45 yards down the field. Only the greats can do that. I wouldn't even want my team to do that. I don't trust Alex Smith to do that. That's what separates Brady and the elites in this game from everybody else. The ability to make that kind of throw in that situation and be fearless enough. And how about the balls? Even though it should have backfired, how about the balls on Bill Belichick to dial up a 0 blitz? Cover 0. Send in the kitchen sink knowing that Tyreek Hill is one-on-one outside. I believe it was Harmon. No, it was McCourty. Outside with McCourty. Luckily, they got to his ass and forced an overthrow. Man, this was a fun game to watch. The chess game was so real in this game. Watching these two teams go back and forth. Andy Reid might be one of the most brilliant offensive minds in all of football. And watching him go up against Belichick and watching that whole dynamic unfold and then flipping it on its head, watching Mahomes go up against Belichick and that defense, man, that was so much fun to watch. You know, man, was it fun, the chess match and Brady going up against Sutton and his conservative approach to defense, not wanting to come after Brady and allowing him to stay in the pocket. That's what Sutton likes to do. Play zone defense, loves to drop 8, rush 3, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it was fun to just watch these two teams go at it. But at the end of the day, the Patriots had to remind the Chiefs of who runs the block. You know, look, the Chiefs are up and coming, man. They got a couple corners, right? They got a couple corners, and they coming up the food chain. But the city is still the New England Patriots. Don't forget that. The city is mine. You belong to the city. City is mine. The city is still the Patriots. You belong to the night. It's still the Patriot city. All right? But the Chiefs, they made an announcement tonight. We coming. They're like Marlowe on The Wire. All right? String a bell. All of these guys, Prop Joe, all these old head kingpins still trying to hold on. Marlowe is coming. That Marlowe is the Chiefs. They coming. But they still ain't ready yet. But they coming. Man, what a game tonight. All right. Let's get to some comments. If you're out there, like the video. Jeez. All right. JP says, didn't get to watch most of the game because I was watching Red Sox battle the Astros. What an unbelievable game. Plus, how about the Redskins getting it done versus Carolina today? Glad the Redskins got it done. And I know you're a baseball fan. We don't do baseball talk here, bro. Sorry. Even though it's postseason, we don't bring that here. JP says, does this qualify as the highest scoring Sunday night game ever? I highly doubt it. Pretty sure we've had shootouts before. And it didn't necessarily have to be this close. It could have been a 47-37 game. That would be higher scoring than the game we saw tonight. Yeah, by 1 point. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this close. I'm pretty sure we've seen really high scoring games before, but the 83 combined points. That's a lot of damn points. J. Camman says, I hate the Patriots. They get away with so much crap. I also hate Peterman. Oh, man. Black Al B says, what it do, Lou? I swear, knowing you and watching your channel has made me a pseudo Skins fan. LOL. I was watching the Vikes game and y'all game. Good win for y'all squad. I appreciate that, man. He also asked, who are my top 5 receivers in the game? I told y'all, somebody asked me a question similar to that before, and I told y'all I'm going to make a list video. Only thing about that is it's not available to all of you guys. That's a Patreon exclusive. But if I'm going to do that, I can't give it out here. Let's see. Stevie D says, Tyreek is the best wide receiver in football right now, and it's not even close. I wouldn't go that far, bruh. I get where you're coming. He's the most explosive receiver. Explosive receiver in the game. He's not the best wide receiver in the game. He's dangerous, though. You know what I mean? Like, because of what he is capable of doing on any given play, anytime he touches it, he is explosive and dangerous. But there are other guys that you would much prefer to have out wide in a situation where, you know, let's say a team decides to get really physical with Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage and they got help over the top. There's not much Tyreek Hill can do about that. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a big guy. And if a corner feels confident, like let's say Patrick Peterson, for instance, decides I'm going to come up in his face, delete the airspace, be really aggressive and physical with him at the line of scrimmage. Peterson knows he can run. Man, he's not as fast as him, but he knows he can run. He trusts his speed. And then to say, I got help over the top so I can be really aggressive on anything underneath, that would really hurt a guy like Tyreek Hill, you know? And if you were to play inside leverage or outside leverage, depending on where your help is, I've seen teams like Denver, for instance, take away Tyreek Hill's ability by simply just playing him in and out coverage. Guy plays outside leverage on him, and there's help to the inside, and that takes away sort of what he brings to the table. It's easier said than done because if you devote too many defenders to one guy, then they'll just go elsewhere. They'll just go to Travis Kelce. They'll just go to Sammy Watkins. They'll just go to Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. They'll hurt you somewhere else. So you can't overcommit too many defenders to just one guy because there's so many weapons and they can spread it around and hurt you. But there are other guys like a DeAndre Hopkins who you know he's getting the football, sticky, tough, man-to-man coverage, and he still catches the football. You know? Same thing with Julio Jones. But he's a really good receiver. Like, don't let anybody, Jalen Ramsey, try to convince you otherwise. This man is a receiver, and he's a damn good one. J. Cam Man says, after seeing the Chiefs tonight, we can see their raw talent, how they are able to win all the time except against proven cheaters. Look, you call it what you want. The Patriots know how to win. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Chiefs are coming. Like I said, they are coming. FBG Tony says, good win by the Pats tonight, bro. Pat Mahomes got to be a bit more careful with the turnovers, but they balled after an early deficit. Great game by both teams. Agreed. Silver V says, if you think the Chiefs are the teams are afraid to go to Foxborough in the playoffs, then you haven't been paying attention for the last 2 years. Like Bart Scott say, can't wait. No, they're not afraid to go to Foxborough, but you don't want to have to go to Foxborough. They've beaten the Patriots there last year. They beat them there last year, and a couple of years ago in the playoffs, they almost beat the Patriots in the playoffs. But almost doesn't count. Like a wise woman once told me, almost doesn't count. Almost doesn't count. You want to go at home where you destroyed them 3 or 4 years ago and had everybody, including myself. That was the first and the last time I asked, is the Patriots run? Is the era over in New England? That Monday night when the Patriots got destroyed by the Chiefs on a Monday night. Haven't asked that question since because I know what the Patriots are about. But you don't want to have to go to New England. You don't want to do that. Why? J. Cam Man says, do you think the Chiefs will be the next dynasty after Brady retires? Nah, I don't. We'll never see anything quite like what we saw in New England for the last. It's similar to what we saw in San Antonio with the Spurs over the last 20 years. We'll never see that again in the NBA. I know what Golden State is doing is unprecedented, and, since the Bulls, obviously, of the 90s. But what the Spurs did was a 20-year run in which they won, I think, over 50 games every year for a 20-year stretch. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. Like, that's what the Patriots have been in the NFL. They've been the model of consistency. I don't know if we'll ever see what we are seeing. And it's so much harder to win in the NFL than it is in the NBA. You have 2 of the 3 best players in the league, and you can win for many years in the NBA, which is what Golden State is proving right now. In the NFL, it's hard to win. I don't care how many good players you have. It's hard to win year in, year out. Injuries are a real thing. Turnovers are a real thing. And luck is a real thing in the NFL. The bounce of the football is a real thing. There are factors that you can't control. So it's just hard to win. And what the Patriots have done, I know a lot of you don't like it, but you got to respect it. Got to respect it. FBG Tony says, do you think that the Cowboys' offensive explosion was an anomaly, or is this a newfound offensive attack? No. Nothing about what I saw today was any different than what they've been doing all season long, except Dak Prescott actually threw the football to open receivers. Guys that have been running open like Cole Beasley. And for some reason, the Jaguars, they had so much machismo coming into the game. They thought they could just single up Cole Beasley with Tyler Patman, and he ate his ass alive. Same route. Ran the same route 20 times and kept getting open. Same Z out. Same slant back out. That's what we called it in our offense when I was in high school. Z out. Same damn in-out route. In and out route. Well, they call it the whip route in the NFL. Kick their ass at the same route. And off of that, they built everything that they did in the game, and Jacksonville had no answer. And then to make matters worse, they were turning it over. They were doing stupid stuff. They couldn't sustain offense. They were getting injured. They were dropping the ball. They were doing just everything that the Cowboys needed them to do to facilitate an ass whooping. That's what Jacksonville did. They were more than happy to participate in their own demise in the game. But give the Cowboys credit. You know, they did things that they hadn't done all season long. You don't score 40 points by just having the other team implode. You got to also do some good things. And they did some good things, but I still think that Cowboys offense can be had. But, you know, we don't have the best defense in the world, so we'll see. That should be a fun game next week. Vincent Cole says, random NFL history question. How good was Nnamdi Asomugha? He was really good for a stretch there in Oakland. The problem was his best football was wasted in Oakland. By the time he got out of Oakland and he went to Philadelphia and then ultimately to San Francisco, he was washed. His best football was gone. It's a shame, too, when you spend your best years, your prime years in a location that doesn't allow you to actually be seen by the public and viewed in the light that you probably should be. But that's what happened, sadly, too. And don't feel bad for him. He got paid. He got broken off. JP says, what do you think of Sony Michel tonight? PlayStation. He was outstanding. Like I told you that a couple of weeks ago, that you can't allow the Patriots to have that kind of talent. They shocked the hell out of me when they pulled the trigger on him in the first round. But I know why they did it. Because they're not used to having that kind of talent. They say, you know what? For once, how about we actually have elite stuff? How about we actually have elite stuff? Game-changing stuff. And stop trying to reinvent the wheel with crumbs. Asking Tom Brady to put together these 5-star meals with crumbs. With these oddball ingredients. Why not give this man some fresh ingredients that allows him to make the best meal we've ever tasted in New England, potentially? So you go get Josh Gordon. So you draft Sony Michel. And all of a sudden now, shit is starting to come together. They haven't had a real running back in New England since Corey Dillon. Think about that for a second. To hell with LeGarrette Blount. To hell with James White. And I like James White as a receiving back out of the backfield. To hell with anybody else. Lawrence Moroney. This is the first time they've had a real running back since Corey Dillon. Think about that for a second. Deion Lewis was nice, man. That shit was cute. He's no Sony Michel. Not as a runner. It's a different ball game now. When you got the ability to have a guy take over the game, sort of like Sony did tonight. For a good stretch of the early portion of this game, Sony Michel show. He was digging these dudes a new asshole. JP says, Rams are the last undefeated team this year. You think they will go 16-0? No, they won't. J Cam Man says, too many ex-Bills doing well. That's when you know you salty. Samuel Watkins, Chris Hogan, Robert Woods, Stephon Gilmore, Ronald Darby, and so on, I'm sure. Well, what does that say about your organization and your inability to identify guys that are talented enough to keep around? You know, sometimes you got to cut bait with dudes. You can't keep everybody, right? We understand that. But sometimes you got to know, all right, I've went through the growing pains of this guy, and he's getting better, and the best is yet to come. That's why I kill my Redskins all the time, because we're notorious for drafting a guy, or notorious for getting an undrafted rookie, watching him grow, watching the growing pains, but watching this guy get better. And then when it's time to pay him, we don't want to ante up. He goes elsewhere, i.e. Spencer Long. And you know, you don't want to pay a ton of money for interior offensive linemen. I get it. You can just draft another one. But you go through the growing pains with Spencer Long. You let him go to the Jets and allow him to help bolster their offensive line, while your offensive line struggles on the interior. Again, you don't want to overspend like the Raiders on interior offensive line help, and then when it comes time to pay somebody, you can't because you gave money to guys that you didn't need to pay. But again, that's what the Redskins have done. But your team's not the only one guilty of allowing really good football players to walk and flourish elsewhere. It happens around the league all the time. You can't keep everybody, but there's no reason for you guys not to keep Robert Woods. None. You know, no reason for you not to keep Chris Hogan. The fact that your receiver position looks the way that it does now is an abomination, and it's a testament to you guys being neglectful at the position and not holding on to some of your stuff. So, you know, you weren't going to keep Stephon Gilmore, not at the price that it was going to cost. Same with Ronald Darby. You know, you felt like you could flip him for a draft pick. Well, why not? And you've done well in drafting other corners and young guys to come in and play. Johnson in this past year's draft. Obviously, the LSU corner, Tre'Davious White. You've done a good job of stacking the cupboard. And so you're fine at certain positions, but receiver is the one that I look at and say you should have kept at least one or two of those guys. There's no reason for your receiver position to be as trash as it is now, but you allowed it to get that way. Let's see. Black LB says 2018 seems like the death of the NFL defense to me. Fair statement. No, it's not the death of defense. Did you see what Baltimore did to Tennessee? Did you see what Baltimore did to Tennessee today? I wouldn't call that the death of NFL defenses. It's you know what they're trying to do. You know what they're trying to do. They want moms at home to let their young 8-year-old play Pop Warner football, because it's not about the guys playing now. It's not about the crop that's in college now that's playing that's going to try to get into the league. It's about the generation down the road that they need to keep refilling the cupboard. And I can honestly say, my son is going to play basketball. He's not playing football unless he wants to play football. I'm going to try to steer him away from football, even though I love the sport so dearly. I want my son to play basketball. The money is better, and he's less likely to walk away with some kind of irreversible brain damage. And that's what the league is trying to steer people away from is, hey, our sport is safe too. Hey, look, you can let your son play our sport. He won't want to kill himself when he's 50. Come play our sport. And they're trying to convince people of that. So, yeah, we don't love the rules, but they're trying to make sure that this sport isn't dead 30 years down the road. When moms around the world stop letting their kids play football and instead force them to play lacrosse. They're trying to avoid that. So, I get it, but when you make a statement like that, then you got to turn around and look at what the Texans and Cowboys game was last week, or what the Ravens did to the Titans today, or what the Browns and the Ravens did just a week ago, 12-9. Like, it's not dead. It's just you're going to see a lot more offense than you will defense. J. Camman says, if Josh Allen is hurt next week, Nathan Peterman may have to start since Derek Anderson. If you're choosing between Nathan Peterman and Derek Anderson, your team is DOA. Your team is dead on arrival. Dead, I tell you. You have no chance of winning. I don't give a shit who you're playing. All right? You could be playing the Raiders next week. You have no chance of winning if those are your two options. Okay? You're telling me you're picking from bad or worse. And you get to choose which is which. I'm pretty sure I know which one would be bad and which one would be worse in your case. Oh, man. JP says, why does Pat's voice sound like Kermit the Frog? It's funny because he talked about this on Monday Night Football, how anytime he tries to get big-headed, you know, and the success of what he's done thus far starts to get to his head, he says his teammates always bring him back down to earth with his voice. So his voice is terrible. Craig Smith says, or let me say, back up one. Stevie D says, am I crazy to think the Raiders will be picking in the top 3 and take a quarterback? You're not crazy about picking in the top 3. I don't know if they'll take a quarterback. I don't think they would be They just gave Derek Carr franchise QB money. It'd be one thing if they hadn't paid him yet and they were having second thoughts and reservations about Derek Carr, then they could do something radical like that. But unless you're going to move Carr, then there's no way you're drafting top 3 and decide to take a quarterback. So the first half of that statement, nope, you're not crazy. They're probably going to be drafting. They're a really bad football team. They're probably going to be in the top 3 of the draft. Taking a quarterback, though, I don't think is going to happen. Not in the first round, at least. Craig Smith says, hey, Lou, Bolts only 1 game back in the AFC West. Only losses are to 2 arguably best teams in the league, Rams and Chiefs, in the first 2 games of the year. Bosa is back after the bye week coming. I hear you, bruh. I don't trust the Chargers. I just don't. I'm anxious to see what happened. I saw Tyrell Mawson on 3 dudes. Like, what the hell is going on out there? But it's that kind of throw by Philly Rivers that tells me you don't stand a chance. You can't throw that football. That shit wasn't supposed to be completed. That's supposed to be picked off. That's a dumbass throw. Luckily enough for him, Tyrell Williams bailed him out, and there were some unaware Browns corners that didn't make a play on the football. That's a dumb throw. I don't trust the Chargers. So they may be 1 game back in the division. You're not better than the Chiefs. You're not going to win the division. I don't see it happening. And even though I think you're dangerous enough, you're capable of making some noise in the AFC conference, I just don't see you being good enough when it's all said and done. I can't see you beating New England. Can't see you beating Kansas City in Arrowhead. They've already come to your place and destroyed you. And even when you get Bosa back, and I hope you have him back for that game so you feel like you're at 100% in terms of strength on the defensive side. I just don't see you guys being good enough. Your kicking situation, you made your kicks. If your coach is coming into the press conference and the first thing that he says is, hey, we made all our kicks this week, so that's a step in the right direction, that tells me all I need to know about your football team. I'm not buying what you're selling right now. But I do think you're one of the better teams in the AFC. JP says, Raiders are shopping Amari Cooper and Carl Joseph. What in the actual hell is going on in Oakland? Well, they haven't liked Carl Joseph for a while now. Since Gruden got there, Carl Joseph can't even sniff the football field. So that's not a surprise. Amari Cooper is the surprise, but I already told you, Amari Cooper, he's a passive-aggressive wide receiver. I like Amari Cooper. You put him in the right situation, Amari Cooper is a really good football player. But he's not the kind of fiery competitor that John Gruden likes. So you got to remember, John Gruden, even though the two got on each other's nerves, he flourished with Keyshawn Johnson. You know what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with this? He flourished with Tim Brown and Jerry Rice. All right? John Gruden likes veteran football players. I've told you this already. That's why the Raiders have gotten old overnight. It's the reason why the Raiders are looking to get rid of anything young that doesn't quite fit what Gruden is looking for. Now, eventually, he's going to try to get more of his type of guys in there. The only problem is his type of guys may not be what fits in today's NFL. Which is, again, why I don't understand what the hell Gruden has been doing over the last decade. He's had a show that has allowed him to focus in on future draft picks, and yet he's coming in and acting as if he's been away from the league blindly for the last 20 years. J. Camman says, I see your point with the Spurs, but I think the difference is that the Patriots is the team to beat every year. You can't say that for San Antonio. You can, though. You know, until Kawhi left, you could say that. Who was the one team that you thought could actually beat the Warriors? If not for Zaza Pachulia being dirty and sticking his leg underneath Kawhi's ankle, they were up 25 in Golden State in game 1. They were going to win that series. You're not telling me nothing. Like, the Spurs were good enough to win it every year. They would be quietly behind the shadows, behind the scenes. Everyone would be talking about the Cavs. Everyone would be talking about the Warriors. And they just win 61 games. Only problem was the Warriors would win 66, and so they'd be the number 2 seed. But that's nor here nor there. Too much NBA talk. Gregory Lightbody says, do you think the Redskins should go after one of these guys like Patrick Peterson or Amari Cooper? Not going to happen. Not because you're going to have to give up super draft capital to get these guys. These are former top 10 picks. These dudes don't grow on trees. Like, you don't get these guys without giving up a first rounder of your own or a second rounder. And I told you the second rounder is the new first rounder. Like, that's precious cargo and commodity. You can't get that up. J. Cam Man says, I want to respect the Patriots. I want to be honored that I lived to see this, but their smug attitude and going for it on fourth and win up by 40 points, it goes against what we are taught to do. I'm from the Jimmy Johnson school of whoop ass. You don't like me running up the score. You don't like me beating you by 62 points. You don't like my backups coming in and doing you. Then stop us. What you want me to do? You want me to turn the faucet off? No, all we know is one thing, balls to the wall. So if you don't want your brains bashed in, do something about it. Now, yeah, obviously, I begged the Saints for mercy on Monday. They had our wrists like this, and they were bending it back, and I said, mercy, mercy, mercy. And they said, all right, we win. I said, yeah, I already screamed, mercy, mercy, mercy. Let my wrist go, please. They could have scored 50 on us. They decided to stop at 43. I appreciate that. But if they would have scored 55 on us, I wouldn't have been mad. We allowed it to happen. That's part of what's wrong with today's society. Everyone wants a break. No, make your own breaks. You don't want to lose by 47? Okay, stop me from beating your brains in. Put up more resistance. All right. We got 6 minutes left. We'll try to run around and grab as many comments as I can that makes sense. All right. Captain Spartan says, why are my Steelers winning games? We on a playoff team. No need to try this year. Bro, you're making the playoffs whether you want to or not. You're the Steelers, okay? It is your birthright to make the playoffs. And you had every opportunity to piss away opportunities to make the playoffs this year, and you went into Cincinnati and won. If you didn't want to make the playoffs, then you don't win today. But you did. Or yesterday. But you did win. So that means you still have aspirations of making the postseason. And if you look around the rest of the AFC, who's going to stop you from grabbing one of 6 spots in the AFC playoffs? You show me the other 5 teams that are going to stop you. I can name about 3 right now that look pretty primed to grab a playoff spot. But there are 2 spots, even if you don't win the division, and I don't think you will. There's still going to be 2 other spots out there called wild cards. One's going to have your name on it. When it's all said and done, one will have your name on it. Nobody else other than the Patriots are going to make any noise in the AFC East. Don't worry about what the Dolphins are doing, okay? Nobody else but the Patriots are coming out of that division. You look at the AFC North. I told you that 3 teams were coming out of that division. I didn't stutter. I still feel that way. The 2 wild cards are coming out of that division. You look at the AFC South. That's a train wreck. Jacksonville all of a sudden lost sense of self. They need Fournette back in the worst way right after a long day. The Titans couldn't score They gave up more sacks than Mariota had completed passes in the game. The Texans, I don't know how the hell they're winning games like they're winning them, but they're somehow 3-3. They're not a good football team yet, though. And the Colts are 1-5. So that division is getting one team and one team alone. Then you go to the AFC West. You could look at that division and say, hey, wait a minute. Two teams are getting in from the West. The Chargers and the Chiefs. I'm going to look you dead in your eyes and say, really? Really? So the Chargers aren't going to end up 9-7 and just missing out on the playoffs. Because that's the Chargers that I know. I don't know about you. But that's the Chargers that I know. Because I look around at the Chargers, and the only games that they've won this year have been against trash competition. When they play anybody of any note, they lose. So I expect that when the competition ratchets up for the Chargers, they will fall back to the pack, end up at around 9-7, and just a bit outside of the playoffs. Just like that pitch that was just slightly off the black, just a bit outside. And boom, there you are. At 9-6-1. You beat the Chargers out at 9-7. And you're in the playoffs. Just like that. Black Al B says, damn, Lou, I feel you with the NFL steering the lead towards these moms letting their kids play. Hey, that's what they targeted. I don't know if you noticed. Every damn commercial is a Pizza Hut commercial or some kind of commercial geared towards family. We want to embrace family. We want you to know that it's safe. How many commercials have you seen on Heads Up or them talking about rule changes? When have we seen this in the past? Some random special teams coach, Dave Taub from the Chiefs, talking about safety on kickoffs. Or Joe Lombardi talking about safety on offense. It's because they're gearing their league towards wanting the younger crowd to play. They're gearing it towards moms at home that see football as a barbaric sport and don't want their kids playing. No, JP, that is not Saquon's nickname. J. Caman says, here's the blockbuster trade that's so crazy it could happen. QB swap, Derek Carr for Josh Allen. Think about it. It's John Gruden we're talking about. The Bills would take you up on that right now. But they're not trading for Josh Allen. I don't see that happening. Let's see. Terrence Leach says, my Ravens had team meetings in the Tennessee backfield today. You're damn right you did. I can't wait to watch that game. Angry Birds of Chaos says, Redskins should try and trade Alex Smith for Derek Carr. Since Alex is a veteran, I think Gruden would do it. Would you? And I'm not a Derek Carr fan. I think Derek Carr is soft. So he's skittish. I think if you can protect Derek Carr, he's a hell of a quarterback. But at times, our offensive line, not the best at keeping the quarterback upright. And if you have any issues, you want a guy that's mobile, that can extend plays with his legs, and that's not afraid to take a shot in the pocket. And Derek Carr strikes me as a guy that's a little antsy, a little nervous in the pocket. No wonder you're nervous. He's a little nervous. I'm good. I'm going to pass. I'd rather get my own young stuff. Stevie D says, if we traded Amari, I wouldn't miss him, but we would definitely get hustled in any trade we do, like always, a la Khalil Mack trade or the trade with the Cards last year for a franchise QB. Yeah. I mean, remember, and I'm not calling Amari Cooper a star, but we know this to be a fact. There is no such thing as fair compensation for a star player. Now, Amari Cooper is not a star, but you spent a top 5 pick, if I'm not mistaken, top 10. I think he was like the 7th pick or something like that. Top 10 pick on Amari Cooper. It's almost impossible to get that kind of value back in return for your stuff, because no one's going to say, hey, I'm going to give you a first-round pick for your first-round pick. That's not generally how it goes. It's rare. We saw the Patriots get a first-round pick for Brandon Cooks. We saw the Saints get a first-round pick for Brandon Cooks. But Brandon Cooks is better than Amari Cooper. We've seen that come to fruition already. So teams were willing to give up a first rounder for Cooks. I don't know if anybody's willing to give up a first rounder for Amari Cooper. Then again, I could be wrong. Reese says, my only problem with the Patriots is that they always portray themselves as the underdog, even though they are the antithesis of it. Well, that's how you motivate your team. You see Nick Saban always reaching for any kind of motivation he can get. He actually asked the Alabama media to write bad things in the press about his team so that he could use it as bulletin board material because his team is so good, they need some type of motivation. And that's what the Patriots are. They're that good that they need motivation sometimes. So you call yourself the underdog, or you label your team as the one that's being disrespected. Look, they don't respect us. We've won 5 Super Bowl championships, but yet they still don't respect us. You've got to come with some kind of angle creatively to make your team stay hungry because much like Golden State, I was watching Open Court, and Steve Kerr said the hardest thing to do is to continue to motivate these guys and keep them playing at the level that they need to be in order for us to continue to win because they're so good, they know they're good, and they know that at any time they can hit the switch, turn it on, and win. And even though it's harder to do that in this league, the Patriots still can start the season off 1-2 like they did this year and turn it on. So BK Soldier says, I'm done. Bring on the next season. Bro, you 3-3. Relax. Weren't you 3-3 at this time last year? Weren't you 3-3 last year at this time? The only thing different from last year and this year is expectation. Last year, you were happy to be here, man. You were happy to be 3-3 after 6 weeks of football. This year, you expect to win 12 games. Why? I don't know. You didn't expect Fournette to be hurt the way that he's been throughout the early portion of this season, but you expected bigger things. You still have everything that you set out for at the beginning of the season right in front of you. You're 3-3, bro. Your division stinks. You could still go 10-6 and win the division just like you did last year. What's stopping you from doing that? Only thing I can say is y'all got a ton of injuries. You guys have a ton of injuries. Them shits just continuing to mount week after week after week. All right. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here. What a game tonight. Patriots come out on top in the first ever 43-40 finish in the National Football League as the Patriots are triumphant 43-40 over the Chiefs in one hell of a football game, if I may say so myself. This one lived up to the hype, and as Chris Collinsworth said, it exceeded it. All right, I didn't know what to expect in this game. I really thought that the Patriots would win going away, and it looked like it at times. But the Chiefs just continued to battle, and finally had their chance to win this football game. But they couldn't get the stops necessary. And I think that is why this team, when it's all said and done, won't have enough to get it done in 2018. Is because when they need the stops, just like the Denver game, they should have lost to Denver. Let's not forget. If their quarterback name wasn't Case Keenum, let's just say their quarterback's name was Derek Carr, they lose in week number 4 to the Denver Broncos. So their defense can't get the stop when it's necessary. That's what scares me about Kansas City. And so the Patriots put up 43, win the game, close to within 1 game of the Chiefs in the AFC Conference, and kind of reel them back in. Everyone else in the AFC Conference had at least 2 losses. The Chiefs had none going into Week 6's action. But now that has changed. They're closer to the pack. And everyone else in the AFC has the Patriots to thank after the 43-40 victory over the Chiefs. But I can tell you this, and I said it already during tonight's telecast. I'll say it again. The Chiefs are coming. They're the new kids on the block, even though they've been out on the block. All right? They've been in the playoffs the last 3 years. They've been winning the division. They know what it's like. But this is different. This feels different. It looks different. Never once thought that they were going to win this game, but never once thought they were ever out of this game. Why? Because of Patrick Mahomes. Can't say that in the past. So it's different. But in any event, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. We're changing the game over here, one live feed at a time. Come back and join me as I continue to do this. And check out the podcast. Brand new podcast dropped a couple days ago. Check it out. Another one will be dropping a couple days from now. So help yourself. And hopefully I'll be able to get the lockdown coverage tomorrow, watch all the games, break them down, and put that podcast up as well. But in any event, I'm out of here. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time.
Louie T Network.